Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Generative Geek. Today, we are going to build an intelligent video clipper. So, we are going to give this intelligent video clipper a YouTube URL, and using the YouTube URL, we'll then find segments and clips, right? Which are interesting and independent clips, right? So, we'll use the LLM to find these independent clips, and then using FFmpeg, we are going to build these independent clips, right? So I'm going to make use of this conversation with Paul Graham video, a very interesting video. If you have not seen it, highly recommend this. We're going to make use of this video.
We are trying,
and then this is a 1 hour, roughly an hour long video. I'm going to generate around 15-20 clips out of this video, right? So the process we are going to follow is we'll take the YouTube video URL, we'll download the video, and when we are downloading the object, we'll download the video and the transcript, right? And then using LangChain and OpenAI, we are going to find interesting topics and segments which by themselves have the capability to become viral clips, right? So, and then using those segments, we are going to generate clips and build those clips with FFmpeg. We are going to use Python as part of this entire video. But this video is going to help you learn a lot about how to think about taking a block of video and then using transcripts. How can you find meaningful information within the transcripts, right? And then what to do post that, right? So let's just get started. So I'm in my Visual Studio Code and my folder is open, my workspace is open. What I'm going to do is, first step, we'll create a requirements.txt which will hold all the libraries that we'll need, right? So I need LangChain, I'll need LangChain underscore community, I'll need Pytube for this. We'll also need LangChain underscore OpenAI because we're going to make a lot of calls to OpenAI. And then I'll also need .env. So I'll say python.env. Yeah, I think this will be it. And then once we have these ready, what we'll do is, as a next step, okay, I need one more library. We'll need, because there is this transcripts that are going to come in. So I'll need YouTube underscore transcript underscore API, right? So we'll go out and now create a new environment. So I'll say Python create environment. The way you get that is by typing in Command Shift P on a Mac. And you do virtual env. I'll pick 3.12.3, install the dependencies. Now, if you already have a requirements.txt, Visual Code will actually ask you if you want to use that when creating this environment, and I'll happily say yes. While this is loading, another thing that we'll do is we'll create a .env file, and this file will hold all of our environment variables, right? So things like OpenAI underscore API underscore key. And within this, you should actually paste your own key. I'm going to just pause this video here, paste the key and come back because I don't want to expose my key to the outer world, right? So give me a second. Yeah, so the environment is all ready, the key is pasted, and now what we'll do is we'll go out and start writing the file that we are supposed to build, right? So the first thing I'll do is I'll just create a file called main.py, and within this, let's start importing a few libraries, right? So we'll definitely need OS. We'll also need Pytube because that's how our imports are going to work. So from import Pytube, from Pytube import YouTube, from Pytube import YouTube. That's what we are going to do. And then from YouTube Transcript API, we'll import the YouTube Transcript API, right? So I'm also going to import LangChain stuff. So LangChain underscore core dot pydantic v1 import base model and field. We have already done a few videos on this, so I'm assuming you already understand what these are about. So base model and field, because we want the output in a certain way, and if you want that, there's some sort of an output parsing. We are going to enforce that through this. So from LangChain underscore OpenAI import chat OpenAI, right? So we have this. I'll also need, because as part of the process, when we have to build the clips, right, when we have to actually use FFmpeg in the end, right? We'll make use of some sort of a sub process, so I'll import sub process as well. And for sure it will have JSON as well, so I'm importing JSON and sub process as well. And from typing import list, right? So now what we'll do is we'll load the environment variables. So our code is all done. We now at a point where not the code is done, our imports are all done. We now will load the environment variables. So, and the way we do it is by making use of the .env library. So we'll say load .env, and first it will find the .env file, and if it finds, it is going to then load the .env file, right? So as for this video, what we are for this project, what we'll also do is we'll first select. We already have the YouTube URL of the video I showed you as part of the demo earlier. So I'm going to make use of that YouTube URL. So I'm going to say, hey, YouTube URL is equal to, and I'm just going to copy paste it from the other window and bring it here. So this is my YouTube URL. This is the same Paul Graham video that we talked about when we were discussing about the what project we are going to build. Next, what we'll do is we need to download the video, right? So we, whatever video we download, we want to store it in some location, right? And if you look at my folder structure right now, there is no directory. So I'll say, hey, create a folder called downloaded video if it already doesn't exist, right? So we'll say make ders, and we'll call this downloaded underscore video, and exists underscore okay is equal to true, right? So what this will do is this will create the folder if it is not already there. And let's just run this in the terminal for now. While nothing is going to happen, it will still give us a sense if everything is working as per the plan, right? So did you mean YouTube? Now some error is showing up, cannot import YouTube from Pytube. Okay, clearly there is a spelling error, so it should have been YOU tube. And now let's run this again, and yeah, so looks okay. And you can also see a downloaded videos came up. So because the folder was not there, when we ran this command, it created the folder, right? So now I have a place where my downloaded YouTube videos can go. So let's get started with the Pytube part, right? So we'll just say Pytube download video part, right? So we are just going to and the way you do it is you instantiate YouTube and you give it the YouTube URL, right? So this way our yt is the variable yt is now available. We'll then do yt.streams.filter, and you will say file underscore extension is mp4, right? So and we'll download the first byte from it, right? So we'll just say whatever is the first mp4, that is what we want, right? So that's how you do it. Next, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, there is a title for this video, and you get the title when you do yt.title, and we are going to replace any empty string with an underscore, right? So that's what I'm creating, a safe title so that the file can be written. And we are just going to say safe title is done, so file name is equal to f of downloaded video safe title dot mp4. So this becomes my file name, and next all you do is you say video dot download and you give it the file name, right? If, so what we have done till now, or not downloaded videos, video dot download, and you give it the file name, right? So if you do this, you it will download the video and then save it in the location which is specified by file name, right? So we created an instance of YouTube by passing the URL of the video. Next, we said we'll capture the video, we'll give it a title, and we'll replace the title. If there's any empty string, we'll replace it with underscores. Then we gave it a file name, and we called download to actually start downloading the video, right? So let's just run this now and see what happens, right? So if you see downloaded videos is empty right now, and we'll just say python main.py, and let's keep a close watch on download videos. You can see, right, the video has started to download, right? So I can see something here, right? So now my video has started to download. this it's all done now. So if you play this, we can see that it's also playing, right? So our first part is done, where we have a YouTube URL. We had a URL, and we now have the video from the URL, right? Now what we want to do is make use of the transcript API and actually get the transcript of this file, right? So we now have the video, but let's also get the transcript, right? So the next step is get the transcript, right? So for that, we'll first take video ID, because get transcript requires a video ID. So yt.video underscore ID, which is part of the, when you actually go out and download this video, there's a video ID as well, which YouTube understands. So this video ID will be required by YouTube Transcript API, right? So we'll say transcript is YouTube Transcript API dot get underscore transcript, right? So get underscore transcript, and you pass in the video ID. Now with this, what will happen is the transcript will now be available to you. It will be there holding, the transcript will be held within this variable called transcript. Now is the time for us to define the LLM, right? So LLM for us is chat OpenAI, and what we'll do is within that we'll say model, and we'll make use of the latest model, right? So we'll make use of GPT-4o. Next, we'll also say the temperature is equal to zero point 0.7. We'll say max tokens is, will not define any max token, so it's none. Timeout is none. And what we'll also do is we'll say max retries is 2, right? So in case if it is not able to download, it's going to try 2 times at least, right? So it's not able to connect to chat OpenAI or to the LLM. It will make 2 tries, right? So 2 retries. Next is the part where we have to specify the prompt. So till now what we have done is, if you understand this correctly, we have a YouTube URL, we downloaded the YouTube video, we downloaded the transcript, and now we have the LLM, right? So we have the LLM. If you want to see, I can just quickly print the transcript here. I'll say print transcript, come back to our terminal, and say, hey, python main.py, and let's see what comes back, right? So we should see the transcript getting printed here, right? So I can see a lot of things. Text is a whole bunch of different things in your, this is the start second for it, what is the duration, whether this is messing around. So this is all from the transcript, right? So we can see that the transcript is getting printed. Now we have the LLM with us. What we now need to do is take the LLM, send this transcript to the LLM to analyze what segments it can find, right? So for that, we now have to write the prompt. So we'll have a variable that we'll call send a call to LLM, or let's just say build prompt for LLM. So we'll first build the prompt, and the way we'll say this is that the prompt is equal to, the variable is called prompt. So I'm just going to say, hey, provided to you is a transcript of a video, right? So I'm saying, hey, I'm providing you a transcript. Please identify all segments that can be extracted subtopics as subtopics from the video based on the transcript, right? So I'm saying, hey, find all the segments, right, that you think can be extracted as subtopics. I'm giving this as a task. Make sure each segment, okay, make sure each segment is between 30 to 500 seconds. So we are giving it a bound. We're saying, hey, don't make like segments like which are just 10-second long, right? So make like 30 second to 500 seconds. Now this is completely up to you. You can say, hey, don't make it more than 1 minute, which will be like 30 to 60 seconds. But I prefer to keep it like little longish, especially in these kind of videos which are more like an interview, right? So 30 to 500 seconds in duration. Next, what you want to do is, uh, sorry, sometimes GitHub Copilot does give suggestions which you don't like. Make sure you provide extremely accurate timestamps. Now, this is adding this line is very important, because it's going to give us the timestamps of where it thinks the segments are useful. Right now, if it gives us made up timestamps, then we'll do the cuts. Right, we'll go able to create clips basis the timestamps it suggests. You want that to be accurate, right? So we are saying, hey, please provide accurate timestamps and respond only in the format provided. Right, so we are going to provide it a format using the pydantic imports that we did. Here is the transcription, and now we are just going to provide it the transcript. Right, so we are going to say, hey, transcript. Right, so that's the name of our variable where which is holding the transcript, and we are passing that. Right, so our prompt, this part of the prompt is done. We'll now say messages is equal to, we are creating a message list, and which is basically nothing but role. And it's a list of dictionaries which has roles. So the first thing is role, and the role is system. So we're saying, hey, as a system role, um, what is going to happen is the content is that, so the role is system, and the content is you are a viral content producer. You are master at reading YouTube transcripts. So we are giving it some sort of a personality. We are saying, hey, you know what, you are a viral content producer, you are master at reading YouTube transcripts and identifying the most intriguing content. Right, so you have extraordinary skills. So we are just re-emphasizing what we want. You have extraordinary skills to extract subtopic from content, and then subtopic from content. Your subtopics can be repurposed as a separate video. Right, so your subtopics can be repurposed as a separate video. So this we have actually given it. Right, now next what we'll do is, so we have a system thing. Now we want to give it a role which is user, and I'm going to say, hey, role now is user, and the content I'm giving it is the prompt. Right, so whatever prompt we built earlier, we are just going to give that prompt. Right, so this should basically help us get to the point where the prompt is now ready. And now what we want to do is create those portions which will actually make the call, and then in a way that the model responds back in a certain way back to us. Right, so let's just create those pydantic objects now. So what we'll do is we have already imported, if you go above, we have already imported the pydantic, or did we not? Yeah, we did. So if you see, we have already imported the base model and field from LangChain core. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two classes. Right, the first class is called segment, and I'm importing from base model. And what we'll do is, now this basically represents this represents a segment of a video. Right, so this represents a segment of a video. I'm going to say, hey, I need start time, and start time has to be a float, and this will be a field, uh, which will have which will be mandatory, and description has to be the start time of the segment in seconds. Right, so GitHub Copilot giving very beautiful, uh, and same with this end time. Right, so I need two things. I need start time, I need end time. So this segment, think of these segments are as, like, when we send the transcript to the to chat OpenAI, to LLM has to give me the response back in a certain way. It should not just say whatever comes to its mind in English. Right, so I want it to give me a start time and an end time for a segment, which is a subtopic which it has extracted. So it has to say, hey, this subtopic starts from this start time and it ends at this end time. And then what I want is, I want, hey, give me a title, because maybe that itself is a video for me. Right, so the title of the YouTube video, if the title that not the title of the YouTube video, but the title for this segment. Right, so I should say, hey, the YouTube title to make this segment as a viral subtopic, right? So one of the goal is that, hey, can we create from an interview, can we create smaller clips which can themselves be viral subtopics, right? So you are saying, hey, give me that. And next is description, which is also a string, and we'll say, hey, description also is mandatory. So description is description should not be the description of the segment, but the detailed YouTube description to make this segment viral, right? So that's the thing. Last, what we want is we want the duration as well. So the duration has to be an int, and again the duration of the segment in seconds, right? So this is what my class is. This is what I want each segment. So the LLM, we send it, let's say, a 10,000 line transcript, right? Now it is going through those 10,000 lines, and it will find various subtopics which it is going to return as a list. Now this is what I want each member of the list to have, right? So this is what I want in my list. Each member of the list has to have these things. Now what we'll say is, we'll say, hey, class, we'll make another class, and we'll say class video transcript, which inherits from base model, and we'll say it represents the transcript of a video with identified viral segments, right? So this is nothing but a list, right? So it is going to have a list of all of these segments, and this is mandatory, it has to return this. And these are the segments of the video. These are the, let's just call them the viral list of viral segments, list of viral segments in the video, right? So in the video, you got it. So what we have done is we have created two classes. First is, and wherever you see these three dots, right, this means it's mandatory. So the start time, end time, YT title, description, duration, this is what I want in each segment. And now finally, what my transcript class, it should return segments. It should have segments, which basically is nothing but a list of segments, right? So list of each segment. Next, what we'll say is, we'll say, hey, let's make a call to the LLM. So I'll say structured LLM is LLM dot with, the way you call it is with structured output, and you pass it the video transcript, right? So you pass it this class. So this is the way you basically get the structured output from it. And now what I'll do is, I'll say AI message is equal to structured LLM, and call invoke on it, and pass it the messages, right? So if you look at it, messages is what was required to be passed. This thing was just the prompt, right, which we have added here. So messages is, we have given it a role, and we have asked the user query, right? And we are saying, hey, you know what, uh, this LLM has to respond back in a structured way, and the structure is this, right? So this is what we have given it till now. Now what we want to do is, we want to just say, hey, parsed content is equal to AI underscore message, because AI message is what our output is, and it will have a dictionary. Or let me just do this. Let me, before I get into this, let me just print AI message and show you what is coming back, right? So let's just run this. I'll go to terminal. So this is all what we have done till now, is where we first took a YouTube video, we then downloaded the transcript, we downloaded the video, we created a prompt, we created some how the output should look like, what is the output we are expecting from the LLM, we defined that. And now we have made a query. Here we have actually made the query, and this is the output that the LLM is going to respond back with, right? So this is not exactly in our usable format, we'll need to do something with it. But before we do that, let's just quickly see how it is looking like, right? So we'll come here, I'll do python main.py. Oops, f provided to you is a transcript of a file. Line number 44, we get an error, right? So let's just see. Here is the transcript provided to you is a transcript. Maybe what I should do is, I should have like three. Yeah, and let's see if it works this time. Sure. We'll come back again. We'll say Python main.py, and now it's running. We'll come back here. Maybe I should add some debug comment so I can see that the transcript is also downloaded. Maybe it is now making a call to the LLM, and once the LLM call is done, then we'll look at the output once just to see, how it looks like, right? And so, okay, so now this is done. If you look at it, this is one another list parameter, right? So these commas, this is the list that AI message has. It says segments is equal to, and then this is a list, right? If you look at it, this is a list, and it has those values on those variables that we asked it to fill, right? So it says start time is 49, end time is 105. It is given a title. It says, hey, the evolution of Yahoo Mail and Gmail. Then it gives some description and it tells us the duration, right? So it is giving us, what is most important in this is are these start and end times, because these are the times where we are actually going to make use of FFmpeg and clip those clips, right? So we are not going to actually go through the entire video. We are just looking at the start and the end time and just clipping, right? So this is what it looks like. Now within this, if you look at it, what we really want is are these segments, right? So we want the segments, we don't want everything else, right? So we want the segments. So I'm just going to make use of the segments, and then come back here and say, hey, you know what, my parsed content is nothing but AI message, and within that, convert this into a dict and take segments from it, right? So this is what my parsed content is, right? Now I have parsed content available, right? So what I'll now do is I'll say, hey, I want to also generate clips here, right? So this is my downloaded video. This is the video I'm working with, but I also want the clips, right? So and I want to store those clips in a different folder. So I'm going to, just like we did with create a folder to store clips, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say, hey, os.make does, and we are not doing all of this, so this is not right. I'm going to say, hey, my folder is going to be called generated clips. So my folder is going to be called generated underscore clips. Exist underscore okay is equal to true. And let's just, when if we run this, if a folder does not exist called generated clips, it will be created, right? Next, what we'll do is we'll create an empty list called segment labels. I'm creating an empty list called segment labels, and you will see what I'm going to do with this. So each time a segment is available, I'm just going to keep adding it to this list, right? So the LLM has given us all of these segments in parsed content. I'm just going to loop through it and then keep adding to the list, right? So video title is nothing but the safe title that we already created. So this is my video title, and now what I'll do is I'll just loop through the parsed content. So I'll say for I and segment in enumerate parsed content, my start time, I'm just accepting whatever it is giving me, and now I'll go through the code line by line and see if the suggestion is right or not. So yes, start time is segment. Within segment there is a start time, correct? Within segment there is an end time. Again, if you just want to see, we can go back here and see, hey, start time is there, end time is there, YT title is there. So you can actually look at the output and see, hey, is it actually right or not? Description is there, duration is there, right? So these are my core things that I only had asked it to give me as part of the response. Now what I want to do is I want to say, hey, I'll probably just remove all of this for now and say, hey, you know what, till here you were all right. Now my output file has to have a name, right? So what I'll do is I'll say, hey, my output file has to be stored in generated clips, and I'll give it a video title. So the video title is whatever was the video title, and I'm now, whatever is the value of I'm appending that to it and saying, hey, this is my .mp4 becomes my title, right? So that becomes my title. We can even say, hey, is str of I, in case if I start getting some error because it being an integer. So video title stri.mp4, this will become my output file. Now next is, which you should, if you don't know ffmpeg, you can just copy the command that I'm typing here. We are going to call ffmpeg, and we're going to have the interactive mode, file name dash ss. We are going to give the start time actually GitHub Copilot is already telling me what should be the command. So I'm just now going to, I have accepted whatever it gave me, and I'm now reviewing the command. So ffmpeg dash I file name dash ss start time dash t not the duration, start time dash t o, and we'll give it the end time. So ss start time dash to end time. Then I want to do dash c. I want to do v. Then not this. We'll say lib x264 dash c colon a c strict experimental dash ba 192k, and this is the output file, right? So this is our command, which will actually be called by sub process. And next what you do is just say sub process dot call command shell is true, and we'll just append segment labels. Whatever are the segment labels, we are going to append that. So we are going to say f of and here we are going to basically say subtopic is I plus 1, whatever is the subtopic, and we are giving it the name YT title, whatever is the title that it thought is the best title for this such segment. We are actually, you know what, subtopic I plus 1. Here also I should do I plus 1. The reason I'm doing I plus 1 here is because this I will start from 0, right? So if otherwise what will happen is there will be a generated clip which will be generated clip video title 0 and subtopic 1, right? So it won't match. So subtopic I plus 1 YT title, and I'll also add some more information here. So I'll say duration, and we can call duration. I can, and because this is in seconds, so I'll add a S here. Next, let's add a new line and say description, and we'll add the description, right? So, and again, just before we close, I'll add a new line, right? So, segment, so we just appended segments to it. And with this, now our loop is over. What we'll now do is we'll say, hey, with open generated underscore clips slash segment labels underscore txt as f, we are just writing the file, right, called segment labels. We are not doing this. So it's always a good idea if GitHub Copilot gives you some code, you look at the code but also apply your own mind, right? So I'm opening the file to write, but then I have to loop through the segment labels. So I have to say for label in segment labels, and then do a f write of label, and I'm also going to add a new line to it every time it writes, right? So all of this will become clear to you in a minute when I show you what's happening. Finally, what we can also do is we can save the segments to a JSON file, right? In case if there is another process that requires JSON, right? Segment information as a JSON. So this is how you can. So we wrote the text txt file. We are also writing the segments.json file, right? So json.dump parsed content f, and we are going to say indent is equal to 4, right? So with this, now my entire code is done. What I'll now do is come back here, and let me just delete this file again, right? So let it get downloaded again. So I'm going to move it to trash. Come back here, come back to my terminal, and I have already a lot of terminals running, so I'm just going to maybe kill a few of them. Yeah, so, and just do python main.py, right? So with this, now what is happening is my file has started to download. Once the file is downloaded, we'll download the transcript, and the transcript will probably get printed here. I could see that, earlier we were printing stuff here. Yes, we were printing stuff here. And then we are taking this transcript and sending it to the LLM. Now when we send it to the LLM will also respond back with things, with basically segments that it thinks are useful. We can expect that output anytime now. Once that output comes, it's going to take those segments and then invoke FFmpeg to basically give us the output, right? To give us the clips. Seems like it has taken a little longer than what it should have. Um, And yeah, now it came. So maybe the LLM was taking a little while, and now you can see that the FFmpeg has got kicked in, right? So if you look at generated clips, you can see that the generated clips folder is now starting to show up files, right? So this is the output that we are seeing from FFmpeg. And this is how you basically we went from a video, and we are now getting to the part where the clips are getting downloaded, right? So once this is done, you will also see the txt and the json file coming up, right? I don't know how many segments it identified. Maybe I should have printed that. But let's just say if there are max of 10 segments or 20 segments, right? So that this also we can ask LLM to bound, right? We can say, hey, you know what? Do not share more than 10 segments, right? But as a general principle, what you don't want to do is you don't want to unnecessarily limit yourself. That process, in my view, is best handled downstream, unless you have severe cost restrictions where you want to limit the output tokens, right? So you don't want above a certain number the tokens to go. So what I'll do is, now that this clip generation process is happening, I'll just pause this video for a while and come back once the clips are all generated and done by the FFmpeg. So now it's all done. And if we see, we have segment labels.txt. And let me just close this. And you can see, hey, there's subtopic one, and it will tell you what the subtopic is, what is the title of it, and what is the description. That's what we have written to this file. And you can see there are like 22 subtopics, right, that it found. And if you go to the JSON file that we wrote, that was a more where we were actually dumping the entire parsed content. It says, hey, this has the title, this has a description, and it has what is the start time and what is the end time. Now this doesn't look right because the end time can't be zero. So I think the first segment has some problem for sure. The second segment looks okay. And so you see the first segment that it returned has end time as zero, which is definitely not right. And if we come here now and we see the file names, right? So if you look at the file names, I don't see a underscore one, and probably that's the reason, right? Because the underscore one got corrupted, in the sense the LLM output was not good. Now this can happen sometimes, and there are ways to fine tune the output further, where we could have even said the end time cannot be less than the start time and things like that. But I'll leave that as an exercise to you. Now let me just quickly show you how the outputs are. Let me just play this and show you. So I'm in this folder, and this is the file that we first downloaded. Let me just quickly play this again. Well, thank you for coming this morning. And it's a 1 hour 3 minutes file. We could have helped, but maybe that was right. So now let's quickly look at the transcripts it has created. Right, sorry, the clips it has created. We'll go again, play one. Strange. If you look at it, this is just a 42-second video. At it was kind of a startup at the time, Yahoo, back in the late 90s. 98. Yeah. Did you guys know he wrote Yahoo Mail? Right. So this is how. So what it is doing is it went through the transcript, figured out that, hey, this portion within this looks really interesting, right? So some of it, yeah. Yeah. So now these clips are like videos that you can have on your YouTube channel by yourself, right? As independent videos. Yeah. You don't know yourselves. You don't know yourselves. I mean, you don't know yourselves. Yeah. So this was it, guys. I hope you learned something new, something interesting, something exciting today. If you did, please do subscribe, do like, do comment. We saw this video where it says, hey, the genesis of Yahoo Mail and Gmail. And like this, I'll suggest go out and start doing a lot more experiments with this. As a next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you understand how you can build all of this without writing a single line of code. Right? How can you actually build a clipper by making use of everything we wrote code for without writing a single line of code using LangFlow? Do watch that video. Thank you.